It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome, welcome. It's the Jill on Money Show, the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. Let's get started. It's Jolene from New Jersey. Jolene, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
What's going on?
Well, very exciting. Getting ready to retire.
Ooh.
Turn notice in, and I will be leaving work in April. So that's all. It's wonderful. My wife is already retired. So it's, it's a kind of a new chapter for us both.
Okay.
We have long been extreme. I don't want to say extreme, but we've been, pretty diligent with savings. And me personally, I've started working when I was like 13 years old, and it's just always save, save, save. I had depression baby parents, and, they were fire before fire was even a thing.
Right.
And so now we're at that point where we need to stop putting money in and start taking money out.
We're going from accumulation to decumulation.
Can't wait to hear these totals.
I know. Jolene, she's like, I've been working since I'm 13. I've got bazillion dollars. How old are you, Jolene?
61.
Okay. And when you retire in April, will you have a pension?
Yes.
What is the pension amount?
Both my wife and I have a pension.
Oh my.
Her pension is about $2,800 a month.
Okay.
And mine, although it won't be exactly calculated until, they do all the summing up, but it's going to be around $9,000 a month.
Oh my gosh. Okay. How old is your wife?
65.
Okay.
Just started collecting her other pension, Social Security.
Oh, so she claimed early.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's her Social Security income?
It's about the same, $2,700 a month.
So this is crazy. There's a lot of income coming in. All right. So she's got her 5,500 coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have 9,000.
Mm-hmm.
What do you spend right now?
Well, right now we spend around $7,000 to $7,500 a month.
But you want to it's going to be more than that.
It's going to be more because of, the whole health insurance thing, right? And so
she has Medicare.
Yeah, but there's this thing called IRMA.
Yeah, I know. Don't start bitching about that.
Get over it.
Get over that.
I'm not.
Okay,
it's just, it ends up being a lot more expensive than,
Well, what are you doing for healthcare between now and you're 65?
So, I'm very fortunate that I will be able to do COBRA.
Okay, so that's 18 months.
Yep. And then I've been with my company for a very long time, and I qualify for continued medical care.
Stop it. So, okay, wait.
And that's
what do you...
it's very, very expensive, right?
Yes.
And
how much?
For me, it's going to end up, it's going to go up each year, but I'm budgeting about $1,900 a month for me. And then for my wife, her Medicare right now is around $850.
Yeah.
So, all in, I think our budget's going to be about $10,500 when we put in the medical stuff.
Okay. Even if let's say it's 11.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just, right? I mean, so 11,000 net is what we're talking about. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you guys, without you even claiming your Social Security, but, starting in April, you guys are going to have $14,500 a month coming in.
Correct.
Gross.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Okay, hold on. Don't say a word because I just want to let that sit for a second, right? Just let's let it land for a second. Okay. Now tell us about your other savings, because someone who's been working since she's 13 and says she's maybe an extreme saver has put money away. Tell us where and what kind of accounts that you have saved in.
Well, let's start with property.
Okay.
So we have a primary home. It's probably, and everything is all paid off. There's no debt.
Of course there are. I mean, obviously.
So primary home is our starter home. We never upgraded. So we're at about $450 for that.
Okay.
We bought a secondary home out west in the mountains. Potential retirement place, we don't know. That's probably worth right now about $1 million. And let's see, we've got 401k, traditional 401k at about 1.7.
Goodbye.
We have.
You're amazing. You're amazing. Keep going.
100k in Roth.
Yeah.
We got about 55 in HSA. We have about 1.3 in brokerage.
And are you guys managing that yourselves?
Yeah, I was using Fidelity's management, but I got out of that a little while ago.
Okay.
I just didn't feel like they were doing anything more than I could do for myself.
Okay, fair enough.
Then we have about 350k in high yield savings.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and that's not earmarked for anything right now.
The 350?
Yeah.
No, it was just kind of like, I started accumulating that, about 18 months ago, as I was getting ready for retirement. And I just kind of figured like, that would be like our emergency fund in case the market, crapped out, and it would be what we would pull from instead of having to pull from the market.
So are you planning to claim Social Security at age 70?
No.
You're going to do 67?
Probably not. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I recently went through
Oh,
cancer.
I'm sorry.
Everything's good. Everything is
okay. Okay,
good,
fair enough.
But, it was definitely an eye opener. It was 3 years of chemo and everything, all the things.
Yep.
And it really brought. I'd never had any health issues before that, and so that was like the first foray into the medical insurance whole situation. And it was an eye opener for sure. And so who knows how long life is. So I'll probably claim around 65.
Okay. What will your benefit be at that age?
Well, based on the Social Security, statement or whatever, it says 33
a
month. I think it might be a little less because,
let's say 3.
Yeah.
Okay. For now, just round numbers. You're done in April. You've got your 14.5 gross that's coming in. Is your intention to pull some money out of the pre-tax account? Because I'm sort of like, well, between 61 and 65, why not try to pull out some of your income is only going to go up. So should you pull some of your 401k? That's
the question on the table.
Yeah, I think so. I think the question is, because you're still in a high tax bracket. So New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, these are all high tax states, right? In the tri-state area. Although, is your Western Mountain home a place where you have a lower state tax structure?
I'd have to really dig into that, but I don't think it's going to be that. I think it'll be negligible. I don't think it's going to be.
Okay. So right now,
from property tax perspective, absolutely.
Okay. But you want to keep both residences for now.
I think we're going to keep both until we decide where we ultimately want to end up.
We'll get back to Jolene in just a minute. If you've got a question, go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button.
If you've missed any part of the show or want to check out a past show, go to JillOnMoney.com for more great personal finance content.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's get back to Jolene from New Jersey. What were you earning before retirement? So last year, what was your earnings?
It's salary bonus. It varies every year. Salary bonus, LTI. But it was in the mid 3.
Okay. So you're going to go down a big tax bracket though. You're going from probably 32% ish, right? 32, 35. Okay. So now maybe what does make sense is to start pulling money out. So married filing jointly, up to 380 or 90 grand. I don't know where the top of 24% is. I would at least start pulling money out of your retirement accounts.
Yeah.
And I would try to at least get out as much. You don't even have to convert it. You can just keep it, because it sounds to me like you like having a little cash on hand. And you have that 350 grand in savings. I guess the question is whether we do a real big conversion. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, and I've actually talked to my accountant a couple of times about doing a Roth conversion.
And what's she say?
She's like, we don't have kids.
Yes.
And so we don't plan on leaving, we don't plan on leaving anybody money, right? I think our intent is to leave to charity.
Okay, great. So in that case, then you can really, at age 70 and a half, start doing qualified charitable distributions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can do you have low cost basis stock in that brokerage account? Do you have, in other words, do you have a big taxable gain in your brokerage account for a lot of the holdings?
No, I mean, everything's pretty much long-term capital.
But in other words, when you bought those things, you bought them at much lower levels in many cases?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So, yes, cost basis will be high for much of it.
Okay. So meaning one of the things to consider is if you're not going to do a conversion, then just pull the money out that you need. Just make sure you take the money out. Get the money out. If you're in the 24% bracket, you could at least say, we'll take the money out, right? Mm-hmm. Before you get to your 65 claiming point. And then you just get that money, throw it in the brokerage account if you don't need it. If you need it, great, fine. Use it, spend it, have fun.
Yeah.
But I think that what happens once you start, claiming Social Security, then you're going to have plenty of money. You know that, right?
Yes.
Then the issue really is, well, how do we make this? How do we functionally make sure that, we don't have to pay more taxes than we should? Let's try to, sort of take advantage of the tax law. And in that case, I think if you do want to be charitable, there's two ways to do it. One is to do it, right now during your lives. You could say, hey, I want to give some money to XYZ charity. You can do it from your brokerage account. You can give something that has a low cost basis. You bought it at 10. It's now worth 100. You can gift shares in that particular holding to a charity directly. Mm-hmm. You get a nice big tax write-off in the year you do that. Yeah. If you don't want to do it in, year to year, you can start a donor advised fund where you can sort of gift those low basis holdings into the donor advised fund. Every year you can, put 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand. You don't have to pay tax on it, and you can dribble out your giving over time. And then, of course, in your estate planning, you can make a big bequest if that's something that's important to you. Mm-hmm. When you're 70 and a half, there's something called a qualified charitable distribution where you can take up to, I think it's like $105,000. You can take it out of your retirement account and it can go directly to a charity. It's in lieu of taking your required minimum distribution. It can satisfy part of it. Okay. So these are all things that you can do in the future to, I think, satisfy your needs, which hey, we don't need to give all of our money away right now. We have no one else to leave it to, but we want to be charitable and we want to make sure that we're using the tax code to our advantage. And I think you're in great shape. You're in totally great shape. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we feel very fortunate and, yes, we know we're in great shape. It is just that psychological shift from, I started investing when I was in high school.
Amazing.
Buying CDs, paying 15% interest, and so
that was a good deal then, huh?
Yes, it was.
Not bad. So, is there some way? Maybe what you can do is, do you guys have a hard time spending money? Is that a hurdle for you?
Yes and no. I think my wife and I, when we first met, we were at opposite extremes. She was a big spender. I was a big saver. Mm-hmm. We have since kind of met in the middle, a little bit leaning towards the saving side. So I've gotten better with it. But yeah, it's very hard for me to spend money and indulge myself, I just booked a trip and, was like, I think I can afford first class. Should I really?
Yes.
Should I really spend the money?
Yes, you should.
Buy the first class ticket?
Yes.
Or should
absolutely.
And so I did, but it was really hard. you know.
Mark and I have been giving this advice. This is a very funny day where we're telling people to spend money. I must be the only person who does a show like this where I'm like, just spend the money. I don't mean to be like indulgent. On the other hand, why did you work so hard and put this money away if you cannot enjoy it, especially after the last few years that you've had? So, one way to work your way around it is to say, gosh, every year in our brokerage account, we have, I don't know, you'll see what you'll look in your tax documents, and maybe it's you get a tax liability, you get interest and dividend income. Maybe it's some amount of money. Mm-hmm. Maybe you say, I'm going to spend that money every year. That's going to be like our first class tickets somewhere. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's like a game to play with yourself because you have plenty of money. You're not going to spend all the money you have. You guys could live to 105. You're not going to spend all your money. So one nice thing to consider would be to just set up some kind of separate account where you can basically say, this is an account that is meant for us to have fun. Oh, this is our fun money account. And you know that you're not going to need it. You know you're not going to have to worry about it. So I love that idea because it doesn't freak you out as much. You're both on board with it. And maybe in some years, you're not going to spend the whole thing. But maybe while you are in this period of life where you are young and you are healthy, it's like you're still healthy and spend the money, have it, go, right? And then 75 to 85 is the slow go. And once you're over 85, it's usually the no go. You're not going around. You're not like, who wants to get in an airport right now? I mean, I barely want to do it at this age. Yeah. But I think you've done such hard work and you've gotten here. You have to give yourself permission. And if you've called us to try to have us provide that permission granted. You can do it. You can do it.
It's been, growing up with depression baby parents and just, being in that mentality of, you're always worried about that rainy day because the carpet can be pulled out from underneath you at any moment, and that's the psychological shift of, I don't think that will happen. And, kind of moving beyond that, it's almost like therapy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's so funny. The whole reason that I wrote my second book, The Great Money Reset, was this exact situation during the pandemic where people were kind of calling us for permission to do something different with their lives. And it may have been like if a few years ago, before you ever had your bad diagnosis, you just wanted to call and be like, God, I'm just so sick of this. Could I ever retire? I always thought I would retire when I'm 65. Could I ever do it when I'm 61? And we would have been like, yeah, you can. Mm-hmm. But you needed permission. And now life has given you permission and you've given yourself permission. We're just coming in on the sidelines and saying, yes, you are in fantastic shape. You guys have done a terrific job together. Maybe just moving to the middle from extreme saving to, spending, you want to go a little bit to the middle and enjoy what you have for as long as you can actually physically be able to do it. The money will last. Yeah. It's just we need to make sure that you physically can do the things you want to do. So, I think what you're going to find is that your total income is going to be more than enough. And if we, like I said, if you want to say, okay, well, my brokerage account, that's the money that I'm going to use. Or maybe you say, I'm going to take 50 grand a year out of the retirement account. That keeps us in the 24% bracket, and that 50 grand after taxes, we're going to blow that on something. You would make whatever is the way that you will get to the end result of we give ourselves permission to have some fun with this money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're listening to the Jill on Money Show.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. We are answering your financial questions, and we do that by encouraging you to go to our website. That's jillonmoney.com and clicking the Contact Us button. While you're on the website, don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every single Friday. And you can also check out our other audio shows. We've got 2 podcasts. One is called Jill on Money, and the other one is called Money Watch, and you can subscribe to them directly from our website. Okay, time to get back to you. Right now, let's talk to Jodie, who joins us from Minnesota.
So I had a question. I have a pension through my employer, but a couple of years ago, I had elected to do the lump sum rather than the monthly payments, installments. Mm-hmm. And I'm away from retirement, but just still a discussion of thinking about my future of when that time comes. What would be the best thing to do when I leave my employer and get that lump sum?
Oh, this is exciting. Are you close to that period where you might get out of work and go into
probably 10 or 15 years ish or more. So but it's still part of our, I look at my spreadsheet, my finances and my other, my 403B, and I have a Roth and all that fun stuff. And it's just kind of I'm a planner. So it's nice to have a vision of what might be a good place to park that when that day comes.
Yeah, you and me both. So Jodie, how old are you?
I'm 46.
And are you married, single, partnered?
I have a partner.
Do you and your partner combine your finances when it comes to planning for retirement, or are we just talking about you alone?
Just me.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on. You said, sounds like you got a lot of stuff cooking. The pension you've already elected that. You can't, in other words, that was an irrevocable choice. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So let's talk about how much do you earn right now?
I'm right at about 101 right now.
Okay. When you make contributions to retirement, you're putting money into the pension and then also into a deferred comp, both?
I'm just putting money into I have a 403B through my employer as well. So I'm just putting the 4% to get my match through them. And then I don't think anything comes out of our check to go to the pension.
Okay, got it. How much money's in the 403B right now?
I only have about 80,000 in there.
80,000. I love when people say this, Mark. They're like, just 80 grand, like it's nothing. Okay, it's good. That's good. Thank you.
I should have more though. That's why I say that for my age.
Oh, come on. Back off on yourself. People, you guys are so hard on yourselves. What else do you have going on?
And then I just have a Roth IRA that I have. I think there's about 35 in it.
Okay. And are you contributing to that on an ongoing basis?
I am not. That's where I parked money from when I sold my house a few years ago.
Got it. Okay. So we've got the 403B and the Roth IRA. What else is going on? Do you have a brokerage account or a checking and savings account?
I just have a regular checking and saving account. So I just keep a couple grand in my savings, for emergencies type situation.
Okay. And that's it. So these are the 3 big accounts that you have: the 403B, the Roth IRA, and the checking savings, right?
Correct.
Okay. And do you know what the lump sum right now for the pension is, or do you have an estimate of what it would be when you leave?
They have a calculator that I kind of played around with. And if I left, I looked at say I was 58, I think kind of medium of the road there. And it would probably, I got obviously it's an estimation depending on the future markets, but it said around probably 275.
Okay. All right. That's great. Okay. And then what else is going on? You said you sold a home. Do you own a new home, or are you living with your partner in their home? What's the living situation?
I live in my partner's home.
Okay. Do you pay rent or anything like that?
No.
What a nice partner you have.
I buy groceries.
Okay. That's fine. That's okay. Nothing. And you guys have kids or no kids?
No kids.
Okay. And no plans for kids?
No.
Okay. No.
Not at our age.
Come on.
No,
you could still
kids, so.
you could squeak out, 46. You could still make a case, right? Okay. So as you move forward, I'm just wondering, out of the 101,000, the 4% is going into the 403B. Otherwise, there's not a lot of, you don't have a lot of other money that you're saving. Is that right?
Correct.
Where's this money going? You're not spending it all on groceries.
No, well, actually, I had a horse and I just sold him, and that was a major expense of mine.
Aha. Aha. So so do you think that you can start to put more money into either the 403B or maybe even contribute to the Roth?
Definitely.
How much can we really count on for this? I mean, I don't want to be glib about it because I don't want to spend your money, but let me spend your money. How much was the horse eating? How many oats and dollars?
I would say probably he costs $1,200 a month, probably.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's
okay.
It's a cheap hobby.
Oh man, that's rough. $1,000 a month. Okay. So I think that the easiest thing to do, just given your, kind of where you are for tax filing, would be to use the Roth. So at the very least, I think you should start putting in that money into the Roth. I mean, right now,
Okay.
put your $7,000 in there. And then I guess, where's the 403B held? Just out of curiosity, what organization?
Fidelity.
Oh, that's a good one. So maybe, okay. So I have 3 things that I want you to concentrate on for your $1,000 to $1,200 a month, or maybe you could make it like $1,500 a month. I want you to max out your Roth IRA every year. I think this is going to be very important for you. You can just put in like whatever, $550 or $580 a month. You'll be able to max that out. You can do it monthly very easily. You also need to increase the amount you're putting into your 403B. So I know they give you that match on your contributions up to 4%, but maybe could we go to at least 6% for now? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And then everything left, I want you to build up your checking savings. Does your partner make a bunch of money? In other words, you're light on your emergency reserve fund, okay? But I don't want to go crazy with this if you're actually with somebody who is your emergency reserve fund.
Yeah.
Yes, that person makes a lot of money.
Yes.
I like that in a partner, believe me. Mark and I both vote for that as a partnership. It's very good. We'll get back to Jodie in just a minute. If you've got a question, just go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. And just check the box if you'd like to come on the air and join us live.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's get back to Jodie from Minnesota. So I think that I'd like that checking and savings, though, to get beefed up a little bit. So I think if you've got your $1,200 a month, let's say that, putting $550 a month into your Roth, then, put 3-4% more. So you want to get your contribution. What I'd like you to do is get that contribution to your 403B up to 15%. Doesn't happen to happen all at once, but it would be great if you said, okay, let me do, here we are, it's February, let me increase it at least by 2%. So 2%, and then you're putting your Roth money away and then build up your checking savings. If in a few months, your checking and savings, you've built it up to more like, 7, 8, 9, 10 grand, right? Then you're going to slowly increase that 403B instead. So if you went from 4 to 6, go to 6 to 8, then go 8 to 10. But every few months, check in with yourself. See, hey, how's my cash flow feel? That's important. Now, why did you mention age 58 for the pension lump sum?
Well, because I was kind of messing with the dates between like when I was 55 and 60.
Okay.
And so I just kind of picked the middle of the road there.
Okay.
And I want to retire early because my mom passed away at 66, and I just kind of had that back of my head. She never really retired, and I, worry about that.
I worry about that. I worry about that for you, but I also worry that unless your mother has a condition that you've inherited, the retiring early sounds like great as long as you have enough money to retire early. And so if I look ahead, for 12, 13 years from now, you'll get that 275, maybe it's 300 in the pension. You'll have a 403B, but that's not enough money for you to retire on your own. I'll tell you that right now. So if you're telling me that, I really don't want to count on my partner when I think about retirement, I can be very clearly lay out for you that you will not have enough money to retire on your own if you're living on whatever it is, $5 or $6 grand a month. If you are in the back of your mind thinking, you know what? No, we're probably going to be together and I don't really need to have that much money saved because my partner has I'm not paying for this, that, or the other thing. But if it were just you alone, Jodie Singleton, no way this is going to work. But if you have a partner who you're committed to and this relationship is like, you're not going to have to pay for housing. Like if really the only thing you're doing is like having a few bucks on the side because your partner is wealthy, then you're fine. But if it's you alone, I don't know. I don't think it works. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, totally.
So, I mean, doesn't mean you should stay with a person. I'm just saying stay with.
I know. We like each other, so there's that. So
I mean, liking each other is good. So I do think, but I think a lot of times we'll get people like that are similar in your situation where it's like, hey, look, we're not married. Things are really good today, but I don't know if I want to actually count on the fact that this is like the one forever and ever. Not that anyone knows who the forever and ever is. In that case, then, I want you to balance this idea of taking care of yourself a little bit, putting more money into savings, putting more money into the Roth, putting more money into the 403b, and hopefully you are in great shape that like you say, well, we both decided we're retiring together. It's 15 years from now. And you know what, Jill, the stuff that I have saved, it's just all gravy. I don't even need it. So if something changes, though, I do want to hear from you for sure. Hey, what happens like right now, if you were to not to say that this is going to happen, but if you broke up right now and you had to pay for like your own housing, you rented and stuff, how much do you think you'd need to spend out of your 101 grand? Like, do you think that 5 or 6, was that what you were doing before you moved in together?
Well, I was kind of lucky. I had a pretty cheap house before, so I think I had like a $600 mortgage payment or something like that.
But now that's gone. So if you had to go rent right now, what would it be?
I don't know, probably I work remotely, so I can just pick up and go somewhere cheap if I have to. So I'm like $1,500 maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not like stuck to this location where I'm at, so I'm really lucky in that regard. So
okay. So if we just like thought if you're like housing and your stuff and you're remote and you'd figure it out, like you'd work longer if you had to, you would like not to, but if that's sort of on the horizon, then I think you're in good shape. But again, if it's just you have to be willing to kind of to adapt. That's what I would say. And listen, all of us have to do that, right? But in your case specifically, I think that it sounds like you're willing to do it. Let's beef up the emergency reserve. Let's beef up the Roth. Let's get that 403b. Really get money in there I want you to like every few months check in with yourself. Hey, I'm now at 6%, 3 months from now, see how it's going. See how it's going. Is there any other, like, do you have parents? You said your mom has passed away. Is your father still alive?
Yes.
Do you think you'd have to take care of your dad for any reason?
No. And he's 1,000 miles away.
Okay.
From me too.
Okay. So as long as, I just want to make sure you don't have any obligations that are outstanding so far. So then if you're willing to adapt and put some money away, I think you're in good shape. Now, let's fast forward. When you're 58 years old, 60 years old, you've got a lump sum. The usual pathway is to take that money, roll it over into something called an IRA rollover account. And since you already are at Fidelity, it's very easy to do. You can just stay with Fidelity. And then you would invest it in probably 3 or 4 different index funds. And that's it. I mean, we'll talk between now and then because I feel like I'm going to hear from you again. But if your life changes, we'll know what to do. If you are in the situation where you're retiring early, right? And your partner's like, you're it, babe. We're in this together. Like, let's do it. And you don't need to touch your money. There may be different ideas about what to do with that money. It may be worthwhile converting it to a Roth IRA, but we don't know yet because it's so far in advance. So when someone has a lump sum retirement account, whether it's a pension, an old 403b, an old 401k, the easiest thing to do is to create an IRA rollover account that will receive the funds from both the 403b and the pension, and then you invest it accordingly. If you've got a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com. You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make better, maybe more considered financial decisions. If there's something going on in your financial life or even your big real life and it happens to touch your money, get in touch with us. Go to JillOnMoney.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, there is a Contact Us button. Just click that button, write us a note. That's the email we receive. If you'd like to join us live, check the box, and Mark will do everything else. Now, before we get to the end of the hour, one more question I'd love to slip in here. This is from Karen, who writes, I'm a retired federal worker, and I have a thrift savings plan account I accumulated during my 26-year government employment. It is definitely a major source of my income in retirement. My question is, who exactly is accountable or manages the massive federal TSP accounts? The reason I ask, and I am concerned, is due to the recent cuts that the current administration is making to all kinds of government programs. Can they, quote-unquote, touch this? And if they can, should I consider rolling over my entire account to a private financial planning firm? Okay, Karen, so let's go through some of the basics here. The Thrift Savings Plan, which is the retirement savings and investment plan for federal employees as well as service members, is actually managed by the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board. This board is charged by law to administer the Thrift Savings Plan solely in the interest of the participants and beneficiaries. I went to the website to get that wording. Now, listen, I don't think there's going to be cuts to this, but if you're really spooked, you could certainly roll over the thrift savings plan to any major investment house, not necessarily a financial planner or even a financial advisor, but you could go to Vanguard, or you could go to Fidelity or Schwab or E-Trade or T. Rowe Price or any of the large places that will offer you similar types of low-cost funds that you have through the thrift savings plan. So if you've got follow-up questions and you want to talk through this more, get back in touch with us. If you've got a financial question, don't carry it around all by yourself. Just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. And check the box if you want to join us live. We'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome back. It's the Jill on Money Show. We are here answering your financial questions. Let's get the new hour kicked off with Tim, who joins us from none other than the south of France. Tim, you are our first caller, I think, from the south of France. So, bonjour. How are you?
Bonjour.
How did you get to the south of France? Don't say you flew, but how is it you find yourself living there?
So, I've always wanted to live here. My mother was French before she became American. I grew up in the U.S., but I spent all my summers in France with my grandparents, and it just felt like the place for me. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but it's just always been a dream to live here. And a few years ago, I kind of abruptly ended my employment voluntarily, but I felt kind of managed out of the company I was in. Mm-hmm. And I kind of looked at the numbers and I was like, you know what, I think we can afford to live there. And
that's amazing.
So we just moved there.
Who's the we in this?
Oh, my wife, Jodie.
Tim, how old are you guys?
I am 60 or about to be in April, mm-hmm. and Jodie is about to be 55 in April.
Okay. And do you guys have kids?
Nope.
No kids. And are you both working from France?
Neither of us are working. I retired at 58, as I said, kind of earlier than I expected. Mm-hmm. My wife retired many years earlier just because she didn't like working anymore. And I always owned my own home, so it wasn't really – there weren't a lot of expenses, so mm-hmm. It just made sense for her to not work if she didn't want to.
That's so great. So what is the source of your income right now?
So I had a deferred compensation plan, and that I didn't have any choice. It just started paying out when I quit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to dwindle down because some of it was payout at 3 years. Some was over a 5-year schedule. Some was over a 10-year schedule. But for the next 8 years or so, we still have about 60 dwindling down to 40 grand a year from that.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Hold on, wait, can I just stop you 1 second?
Yeah.
So in 8 years, when will it exhaust at 40 grand in 8 years? So after that, so it goes from 60 to 40, and in 8 years, when you're 68 years old, then there will be no more money from the deferred comp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's just because it's my own money being paid back to me. It's not annuities or anything.
I got it. Okay. What else do we have? So that 60 to 40. Got it.
Right now, there is about $110,000 coming in from just bank accounts, like cash, like interest, like CDs and like high yield savings.
And all of these accounts are kept in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything I'm going to say, there's one small carve out. I have about 100-some thousand euros in a French bank.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't really committed to bringing over too much cash.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my real risk factor is just exchange rates because those go up and down.
Right.
They're pretty favorable right now, so I'll probably bring over some, but anyway, that's something I'm pretty comfortable managing.
So are you saying, I just want to make sure I understand this. So you are telling us that you have $110,000 in interest coming from bank accounts. What is the actual amount of money in those bank accounts?
I'm only counting interest. I'm not counting stuff that's inside an IRA or whatever.
Yep, I got you.
I could spend this. Taxable accounts inside and outside of my brokerage, but just looking at kind of cash accounts, we have about 1.9 million cash in a brokerage.
Okay.
And then about 1.8 million in just banks.
Okay, I got it. I see how this is working so well for you. Okay, so bank accounts, taxable brokerage, a silly amount of money, over, $3 million, 3.7 million.
Yeah, that's like 5 lifetimes for me. I'm just not a spender.
Okay, all right. So but that taxable account is that also investments, or that's just like the money market cash equivalent part of it?
Yeah, that's just pretty much money market.
Okay. So what else do you have that's outstanding in terms of investments in that tax? So of that taxable account, if 1.9 is cash, what's in the investment side?
Out of that money, only about 100 grand is in like VTI.
Okay.
I just have that.
Okay.
Like pretty much it's cash. All of my real investments are in the IRA or the Roth IRA.
Okay, so let's say in the traditional IRA, how much is in there?
2.2 million.
Okay, and the Roth IRA?
Roth is 1.3 million.
And Mark's laughing in the background. And did you guys keep your house or sell your house when you moved? Did you sell and buy?
Sold and then bought for almost the equivalent amount. It was kismet because the exchange rate was actually 1.04 euros for every dollar. It went past parity, so it was like the universe told me to buy this apartment. So we have an apartment that I paid 600,000 euros for, which is about what I sold my old apartment in the U.S. for. So it was like basically just a transfer.
So, I mean, you have a lot of money coming in. What is you say you don't really spend money. It sounds like that. You've piled up money here, tons of money. What do you guess you spend on an annual basis living in France right now?
Okay. So I looked at this and we spend, that's another thing about, I would encourage all your listeners to move to France because it's not very, don't work here. But
don't work here, just live here. Okay.
Yeah, because the taxes are very favorable for expats. But anyway, my all-in expenses for our household, not discretionary spending, but just, electric and
the basics. You're nut.
Yeah, homeowners, all that stuff. Let's say $1,200 a month.
Okay, and then what's your discretionary? twice that?
So we went back and looked at what we've actually spent over a year, and that is an additional $1,100 a month.
Get out.
So we're spending, I just call it $2,500 bucks a month. Now, we don't spend a lot. We don't go out to dinner.
But you live in the south of France. Don't you want to go out to dinner? Don't you want to go on someone's yacht in the summer?
That's why I'm calling. I need your permission.
Yes, you have permission, please. I mean, it's amazing to me because even just so you're essentially living on the money from the deferred comp right now covers your everything you're spending. I mean, it may not in the future because you're $2,500 a month. We'll have to add inflation and the money will go down. But essentially, even if in 8 years, okay, you've exhausted that, you're not really even spending that interest that is being generated from the bank account and the taxable cash account, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's gonna get all this money?
Yeah, who's
nobody.
Oh my God! Then spend it. What are you guys doing?
If I'm not careful, it's going to go to France or somebody.
Right.
Like that.
You gotta have some fun here. We'll get back to Tim in just a minute. You're listening to the Jill on Money Show.
If you've missed any part of the show or want to check out a past show, go to JillOnMoney.com for more great personal finance content.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. We are here trying to help you make better or sometimes less bad financial decisions. If you've got a question, go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Let's get back to Tim from the south of France. You will both be entitled to Social Security, right?
Yeah, my wife and I both have pensions. Mine's tiny. It's like, $800 a month or something, but and she has one that's $1,400. They both kick in when we're 65 and we're 5 years apart. So jump to 2035 when we're getting no more deferred comp payout, but when we're all fully in our pension, then we should be getting I put in about $100,000 of interest, but I calculated we'd be making about 16, maybe 17,000 a month.
I mean, I don't even know what to do with myself. I mean, at this point, you know you can spend more. So what is it that's holding you back?
I think what I'm afraid is that if I start spending, I'm going to go out and buy a Ferrari or something.
Are you really? I mean, Tim, it does not seem like a guy who's I mean, you could.
Even if you did, yeah.
I know. You go, so go blow $300,000 on a Ferrari and go crazy.
Yeah.
Like, is there something that you would like to do that you are not doing right now besides the Ferrari?
We could probably travel more. The whole point of being in Europe is that, every European country is an hour away by a plane or a train.
Right.
So probably, go and like I've always been, I was purposefully homeless for a while because I just didn't like spending money on rent. And now I'm at an age where I should reward myself and pay $200 a night for a real hotel.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're thinking of doing.
Okay. So what I would do is this. I would say, first of all, I feel like you're sort of weirdly underinvested in your taxable account, but it doesn't matter.
That's true.
There's literally nothing that can harm you right now. I think what I would try to do is to encourage you to try to travel and do a little more spending. What I think this calls for is like a little mental gymnastics or, sometimes they say mental accounting, which is like a downside thing when in behavioral finance. It's like you sort of jump around your brain and try to move one thing to go to something else, but it's really no difference. You can do this, but I think we are going to have to segregate some of the money. So what I probably would do is maybe from your bank account is all the interest that I think you should just be happy to spend some amount of money and put it into a separate travel budget. And I'm going to say this may sound crazy, but I would probably, because you start small, but like I'd put $2,000 a month and say, that's your travel budget for the year, and see if you can, and force yourself to spend it. Like, can you do that? I mean,
I'm a bucketed kind of thinker. So I was actually thinking of doing that, like just open, maybe at my broker, just separate account and say, this was already accounted for. This is fund money. Just spend it.
Exactly. Okay. And if you want, you can just say, from some money market account, like, I don't know what the money market is generating right now. It's probably 3 and change percent.
It's a premier thing. So it's like 4 something.
4. Okay. So, maybe if you want, maybe what you do is you say, okay, well, let's put some amount of money in there, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. I don't care. Whatever you could think you can really spend, and put it in that account. And then say to your wife, look, we don't spend any money, but why did we come do this if we're not going to travel?
Yeah.
So we're going to do the river cruise on this thing. We're going to we're going to go rent a car, and we live, basically it's like, you live in New York and you're going to drive to Connecticut. So we're going to go rent a Ferrari and drive in Italy. We're going to go do like fun, experiential adventures, because there's no reason for us not to. So I think that's one big thing. Do you guys have your estate documents done?
No, because I had started to do a living will and revocable trust and all that stuff. And that's really terrible in France. You have to pay something like 60% on assets in a trust. Like they're very antitrust over here. So I was waiting to be a little more settled here and then talk to a French lawyer about the right way to set that up.
But right now you're a U.S. citizen, no?
I'm U.S. and French.
You have dual passports because you had French
I do.
parents.
My wife doesn't, but we're both technically tax resident in France. And so
if you die there is a big estate tax liability, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, they take at least 60%, which I'm fine with.
Hold on a second.
I don't.
I love that you're fine with it. Are you guys philanthropic at all? Do you give money away?
No.
Okay.
To be honest, my philanthropical aspirations are post-death. Okay. I don't mind leaving money to a great charity, but I don't even spend it on myself. I'm not going to spend it on someone else while I'm alive.
Okay, fair enough. Nieces, nephews that you have to help out or anything like that? Or
not
want to
really.
help? Okay. So
friends' children.
Okay.
More,
I love
maybe.
that. I love being like a Brewster's Millions to someone who doesn't actually expect it. So I think one thing to consider is that when you meet with this French estate attorney, because it sounds like it's kind of sticking now. You bought property there and everything. I think what you really want to make sure is that you have the right kind of vehicles in place so that, again, even though you don't have no problem with the French government taking 60%, I do. So I'd like to avoid that. And maybe there is a way to set something up for a future, a friend's kid, a charity upon your, upon your demise, whatever. And, at least get those documents in place. Otherwise, I do think that, I guess, I don't know how French estate law works. Is the tax levied at the first and second death or just at the second death of a couple?
I think for a married couple, it's second.
So, you just don't want to saddle your spouse who's younger and, probably has a more likely to outlive you with that responsibility. So I would get going on that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
In the meantime, gosh, I don't know. Like I'm so happy to come visit and help you spend money. I would easily spend $2,000 a month on travel. Not even a question.
What I'm going to start doing is maybe I will treat myself to a Diet Coke when we do go out, because Diet Cokes here, like a can of Coke is like $4 at a restaurant.
Dude, that's where you're going to draw the line? A can of Coke? Okay. I mean,
that gives me some license to do that.
I'm going to give you license to do a lot more than that.
I think you got to spend some money on a therapist.
Yeah, exactly. Good idea, Mark. You know what I'm going to suggest to you? Do you want to go spend a lot of money? Go to La Massardière in the middle of the summer and go have dinner up there and overlook the beautiful Mediterranean and blow some money and get used to spending some money. It's not that hard. I'll get you used to it very quickly.
I'm thinking about moving all that cash into a tax-free money market account because I'm taxed in France on, not really taxed, but it's complicated, but there's a incentive to reduce my earnings on record.
Okay.
So I'd rather earn less but pay less tax.
Okay, fine. Go for it.
Is there any risk with putting like $1 million in a single money market account in
a money market
like,
mutual fund. I mean, I guess are you with a very large financial institution?
Yeah.
Okay, then no, then that's not a problem.
Okay. And then I'm also thinking of buying the Schwab SCHD to get qualified dividend income instead of ordinary income.
Yes, it's better tax treatment. Fine.
Okay. And I'm thinking of skipping enrolling in Medicare Part B. I don't have any intent to move back. I know I'm risking a penalty if I do move back to the U.S., but I don't think that's going to happen. So I was just going to deny Part B coverage.
Especially because you have healthcare in France, then probably doesn't make a huge amount of sense for you. Something could change, obviously, between now and then. And by the way, if for some reason, let's just say, how do we think about this? Let's say you have some horrible rare disease, I hope that doesn't happen. Okay. And you have to get treated in the United States for that. And you have to pay for it. That's your downside. That's it.
Well, in France, chronic disease like cancer, diabetes, covered at 100%. So
sounds like good coverage to me.
It's not bad.
Au revoir, Tim. Have a bientôt. See you soon. Get our guest room ready and go spend some money, for goodness sake.
It's waiting for you.
I'll
come spend money if you come visit me.
Oh, I'm happy to have you spend money with us. You're listening to Jill on Money.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
Welcome back. It's Jill on Money. Here's an email from Robert. Hi, Jill and Mark. I am wondering if it would be better to withdraw $1 million from my 401k or pull $650,000 from my Roth to help our youngest child with his first home. We live in Washington state, so there's no state tax, just federal. We're retired federal workers, and we do understand that pulling $1 million from our retirement account would put us in the 37% federal tax bracket. You say that as a general rule to use your Roth as the last resort, but we're wondering if our situation might fit an exception. We've been doing Roth conversion since 2022, maxing out at the top of the 24% federal tax bracket, and also means that we're paying IRMA, that extra money that you have to pay for Medicare if you've got too much income. That adds $480 a month for Medicare. So they're at about $200,000 a year, and Robert says he's a good kid. Mark, I must bring you on for this. Mark, did you see the New York Magazine article about how many parents are helping their kids? And we've talked about this, their adult kids, especially in the New York area and also I think on the coast. A lot of parents are helping them with these home purchases. How on earth can I, with any straight face, say, take $1 million out of your thrift savings plan?
Goodness gracious. I mean, that's some generous helping out. I mean,
it doesn't seem like, to me, I wouldn't do that. Now, first of all, I certainly wouldn't do it all at once. So can the kid, when you say, oh, he's a good kid, what can he afford? Can it be that you just pull money out to help him with the down payment? Are you going to pay his mortgage for him? Are you buying a house free and clear? I need more information, but this is terrible. This is a terrible idea.
I think they're buying free and clear. And I'm just going to assume, I'm just guessing that these guys have a lot of money in their retirement accounts and their various accounts, but still,
but he says he's got $1 million in his 401k. If that's the only money you have and you want to pull all of that out, no, I would not do that.
I don't think it's all of his money. He just wants to withdraw $1 million from that 401k. So I'm assuming there's a lot in there, but I still wouldn't. If you want to help with the down payment, okay.
That seems a little excessive to me. I'm sorry. That person would have to have a lot of money. Like, let's say he has $3 million and you do $1 million. That would be a lot. I still wouldn't do it.
No.
I want to know more about this kid. He might be a good kid, but like, really? This is what we're doing now? I don't know. Keep renting. I'm so happy I had 4-legged children. This is from Maria. Hi, Jill. I stumbled upon your podcast a few months ago. I love that. And now, guess what? Maria's a daily listener. I like how we hook them in, Mark. Appreciate your insights and your matter-of-fact approach. By the way, Mark, over the weekend, I went out to dinner with friends of mine, and one of my friends, Rebecca, was like, I don't even understand half the stuff you talk about with the financial stuff, but I love your interaction with the people. That's kind of fun. I mean, I like that too, but I hope that you guys do get something out of the financial stuff. Okay. Maria goes on and says, I'm wondering if you would provide a recommendation for additional retirement savings. Here's the situation. My husband is 60 and working full time, makes $140,000 in salary, about a $15,000 to $20,000 annual bonus. And Maria's 57, $116,000 salary with a $10,000 bonus. Kids launched. I wonder if they bought them houses. Maria's mortgage paid off in 3 years. Home value $600,000, a car loan at 2.5%, no other debt. So check out their savings: $1 million in a traditional 401k, $720,000 in a traditional IRA, $70,000 in a Roth IRA, $30,000 in a Roth 401k, $33,000 in a brokerage account, $26,000 in a high yield savings, then about $18,000 in other savings checking, an HSA of $12,000. Okay, so Maria says, I contribute 8% to my Roth and my employer matches 9%. My husband is contributing 6% to his 401k, but no employer match. We'd like to increase our retirement contributions, and initially we're thinking of increasing my husband's 401k to at least 10%. However, given that our savings are so heavily skewed to the pre-tax side, should we increase the Roth 401 contribution? Would that be a better option? That is what Marie wants to know. I'll just answer for Mark, even though I know he's just about to pounce on me. They make a lot of money. They live in a high tax state, so I know where they live. They live in a high cost of living and a high tax state in the Northeast. They make 140, 160, 260, 270. They make about $280,000. I'm still going to go for the Roth, Mark. Would you agree with that? Ha, ha, ha. Of course you do, right?
100%. I mean, that was the first thing that jumped out at me is they have almost, nearly $2 million in pre-tax savings. They only have $100,000 in Roth. So I think the Roth should be the focus going forward.
Absolutely. Okay. So here is a message from Julie, who writes, Dear Jill, I'm 10 years into retirement and better at saving than spending. This seems like a very common theme here on this show. Julie converted about $80,000 into Roth IRAs before taking her required withdrawals 3 years ago. My RMDs were $24,000 last year. It's way more than I need to live comfortably and travel. I've been putting them into CDs, but then I just pay taxes on the interest from the CDs, putting me in a higher tax bracket. And it's also annoying. Where should I invest this money? Okay. So one thing to consider would be to just open a brokerage account. You don't need the money right now. And if you put money into this brokerage account, what you can do is you can try to skew this a little bit towards just plain old stock index investing. And maybe you would put it into, I was going to say a municipal bond fund, but I'm really not sure what your income is. So it's probably just going to be a generalized bond fund. You're not going to trade it. Put it aside. Don't worry about it. And let's see where you go. I mean, it's so funny, Mark, because one thing to remember about all this is that, you pile up that money pre-tax year after year after year. And now here you're listening to this. Julie's like, it's way more than I need. And it's pushing her to another tax bracket. That's why we like the Roth so much. That's the reason. This is from Steve, who writes, I have about $180,000 in 401k and profit sharing plans in 4 different accounts. Should I move them all to the same account where I work, or should I leave them alone where they are? Hey, you know what, Steve? I love consolidation. As long as your plan at work is a decent plan, go ahead and do it. That makes sense to me. When I say a decent plan, do you have enough options? Are there index funds that you can use? I love the idea of consolidation, and I think having it all in one place just makes it easier to manage. Much, much, much easier. If you've got a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
Welcome back. It's the Jill on Money Show. We are trying to answer your financial questions, and we do that by encouraging you to do a bit of work. Go to our website, jillonmoney.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there is a Contact Us button. When you click that button and you write us a note, that's the email we receive. If you'd like to join us live, check the box. Mark will do everything else. While you're on the website, check out our subscription service. It's called Jill on Money Live. This is the service that gives you access to 4 quarterly live webinars. We just had a great one with Ed Slott, the Roth IRA King CPA. He was amazing. But this service will give you access to 4 live webinars, but also the back catalog. So even if you join now, you can go back and watch the Ed Slott webinar, and you'll get 4 more after that. So kind of cool. The back catalog is there, video and audio content, all for $45 for the next 12 months. So check it out. Okay, back to you guys. Let's take an email. This is from Sharon. I listen to your podcast every day, sometimes as much for the soothing sounds of Jill's jokes as the information itself. Hey, thanks, Sharon. Anyway, Sharon says, I'm preparing to pay for a preschool, wondering if a fair strategy would be to fund it by taking out the dividends from my investments instead of reinvesting those dividends. It wouldn't cover the cost completely, but it would certainly help maintain my lifestyle and my current savings otherwise. Daycare is $375 a week, and my dividend income would provide about $250 a month. Some additional information. I'm 42, a single parent. I've got $25,000 in a brokerage account, mostly in a total stock market index fund. I make $107,000 and I direct 16% towards my Roth IRA. My income after taxes is about $4,400 a month, and I save 20 or 25% of that for things like unexpected expenses, vacation, and also I'm saving for a down payment, which is very important to me. This is the primary reason why I am looking for alternate ways to pay for daycare. Well, listen, you're young. I don't want you to get off your whole savings track. And so if for the time being that dividend income certainly helps, sure. But the alternative would be to just sell some part of that total index fund and sock that away to help pay for daycare. And maybe that's a cleaner way of doing it. It would be for me. I think that would be my preference at least. Okay, this is from Anonymous. And here's the deal. It's a federal worker, 30 years of service, no kids, no dependents. Our anonymous federal worker has now been given the possibility of a voluntary early retirement. And so here's what it would mean. Our listener would retire with an immediate, unreduced pension amount of $2,800 a month and health insurance coverage. Anonymous would also be able to take advantage of a monthly supplement from age 57 to 62, which would be great. That would give you extra money before your Social Security kicks in, and that extra supplement is $1,765 a month. If I were to take Social Security at 62, my estimated payment would be $2,315 a month. At 67, it would rise to $3,340, and at age 70, $4,173. The caveat, I don't have longevity on my side. My dad passed away at age 60. Sibling was diagnosed with cancer last year. I have several health conditions that are problematic. I've discussed my situation with financial advisors who all recommend I take Social Security at age 62 due to my health risks. Okay, I agree with that. So I'm totally in with this, Anonymous. As of now, Anonymous has $1.2 million in a thrift savings plan and recently went from a 70-30 portfolio to 50-50. I have $8,000 in a Roth IRA, with the exception of my mortgage, for which I have about $135,000 left, no other debt. I've got $80,000 in a high-yield savings account, and my estimated monthly expenses should be about $6,000 if I were to include a couple of vacations a year. I'm a pretty no-frills tourist. I plan on donating my time if I were able to retire early. Does this sound like a doable plan to you guys? You know, if I take the money now and run, considering how crazy things are in DC these days. Since I did all the hard work of building my wealth without a financial advisor, I would prefer to do it myself if possible. I guess my only regret is that I didn't open a brokerage account when it would have been the most advantageous thing for me to do. Okay, so let's talk about this plan here. As you said, your health situation means that taking that Social Security at age 62 really does seem like the most viable option for you. I know it's very strange because we usually say wait, but as you said, you've got other things going on. So let's look at where you are right now, which is the unreduced pension amount of $2,800. Then you would actually eventually at age 62 get this $2,300. And you've got a portfolio of $1.2 million, which seems like you've got plenty of money to make this work. So, Anonymous, I know this has been a terrible time for everyone who is a government employee. And by the way, everyone who's listening, I encourage you to get in touch with us if you are a government employee and you are weighing what your choices are. But in this case, Anonymous, I think this is the time to pull the trigger, accept that voluntary early retirement, make sure everything you have is in writing, because I want no verbal guarantees of anything. So I want some signed document that shows that you are entitled to everything that you say you have laid out. If you've got a question about whether or not you're on the right track, or maybe you're making a big decision, maybe you're a federal worker, you're nervous about your job and wondering whether you should retire or not, get in touch with us. Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. While you're on the website, don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every single Friday. And you can also check out our other audio shows. We've got 2 podcasts. One is called Jill on Money, and the other one is called Money Watch, and you can subscribe to them directly from our website. Jill on Money will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the program, I think this is a perfect email. It's short and it's sweet, and it kind of gets down to the bare bones question that I know so many of you are asking. It's from Lillian, and Lillian writes, "Can you tell me what's going on with the stock market? Why are things so bad? Will things ever get back to quote-unquote normal?" Well, Lillian, I can tell you that there are so many times throughout the years that I have received essentially that exact same question. While the cause of the extreme ups or downs in the markets, while those causes from time to time change, my response is always, you probably shouldn't care so much about the extreme highs or the extreme lows. But I know it's hard to kind of drown out the noise. But what you really need to understand is that the ups and the downs, it's usually based on an investor belief that companies are going to do well in a certain economic environment and make money, that's their earnings, or conversely, that they're not going to do so well. Now, those decisions can be made on a company by company basis. Maybe it's an entire industry that falls out of favor. And sometimes, like we've seen recently, it can be just general uncertainty about what's the path for the economy. You know, one day we have tariffs, one day certain things are excluded from those tariffs. So just imagine that if you are operating a business, it's hard to understand how to plan in the short term and even in the intermediate term. So if you are an investor and you're looking at that scenario, you might say, well, if these companies don't know what's going to happen, then we're going to maybe sell some of our stocks, we'll lighten up, and we'll wait and see. But for the rest of us, long-term investors that we are, we don't really care about this day to day, this week to week, this month to month, even a bad year. We need to really look beyond that because most of us are investing for years and decades in the future. So I hope that helps you out, Lillian. And if you want to get back in touch with us, I'm happy to talk you off the ledge. If you've got a question about markets or anything else going on in your financial life, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and king of all things web. Please try to do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week.